Okay, so this video is to show you the Axolsecurity AS1. I already have this installed in the unit. It looks not unlike the MEL1 from the same manufacturer, which I'll show you. It's not identical, but it's extremely close. It looks like this for all intents and purposes. It has a different configuration where the circuit board sits on top. It has a piece of extruded aluminum on the side, and then a split tail with a clevis pin to be able to pull back the Von Duprin. But at 6 feet away, it looks like this, is the bottom line. The common thread that it has with the MEL1, this is used in, amongst other devices, Connier 1686 and 1786 devices. The common thread with the AS1 is that it requires the NP1 power supply. No other power supply will work, in the sense that you can use a different power supply to power the circuit board of the NP1. This is the circuit board. You must have this. Must. If you were to have the entire NP1 power supply, this would sit on top of the backplane with the power supply equipment on the back side of this. Black and red are going to come out and feed into the DC in of the circuit board. The AC in is over here, your line voltage. Then we're going to power the AS1 to terminals 1 and 2, and then our switch would go to 3 and 4, which will just jump. But this is absolutely required. You need at least this part. I have an NP1 in stock. I'm not going to go grab it. I'm just going to grab a Locknetics 510 that I have on the shelf. I'm going to power this with the Locknetics 510. You need to deliver at least 2 amps, 24 volts to this board. And that's how we're going to power this. So the next part of this video is watching me stumble through getting this in. I've never done it before. I've already shot that part of the video. I'd never done it before. And the reason that I'm doing it that way is just to show you, while I don't encourage not reading installation instructions, there are actually none included with this. And that is probably for 2 reasons. For me, 3 reasons. It's super easy to install. 2, there's a published video, a very high quality video that will be at the end of this video, showing you the steps. I'm aware of it. I've clicked in it once or twice and quickly got distracted and didn't watch it. Number 3 is because this AS1 is actually, this is a prototype. It exists. The manufacturer can make these. They don't have them sitting on the shelf. They'd be able to produce them pretty quickly. And it's a smart little doodad. And let's go to the part of the video where I'm going to actually go through installing all of this. After that, we'll get the power supply. We'll wire this. We'll show how it works. Hopefully it does work. We will then move to the factory-produced video and then a summary at the end. So let's keep moving forward. So we've done an initial take a looky at the motor, and what I'm going to do now is add it to this 98 that I have. I've never done this before. It's, you know, the only thing that's a mystery to me is how this is held in, but I do happen to know that there's a part in here that's called a magnetic holder, maybe? This is going to be really important in terms of keeping this in the door. I think that's all the parts we have. Our wire leads. I don't think I've powered this. I'm just assuming it works. So let's tilt the camera down and let's kind of go through this. So I think the only things I'm going to need are the motor, the circuit board, and this magnetic bracket. There's literally a little magnet in it. And I'm aware of what it does. I know that it actually keeps the unit in place, and it's ingenious. So I'll ask your forgiveness in advance if there's stops and starts on this, because I've literally never installed this. This does not exist in the open market. This is basically a prototype from the manufacturer, and they've asked me to kind of take a whack at it. So it's been a little bit of time since I've taken apart a 99 exit device. and we're going to dive into doing that. I know that the dogging assembly will have to come out. That's for sure going to have to come out. And I've got to obviously get inside of here, which tells me I probably need to get the head off, and I probably need to get the touch bar off. So I'm gonna go in that direction initially. The advantage of watching me do it with no prior opportunities to have done this in the past is that you'll probably discover what does not work. I wonder if I'm going to have to actually resort to the instructions. Oh, okay, there it goes. Okay. So the bottom chassis will come off. It's a lot of aluminum. Okay. So we're looking good. I think I'm going to want to get the the dogging mechanism I know has to come out. So let's take this apart. Now what's interesting about this is I believe this dogging mechanism was missing the shaft, so it's missing a part. There's a shaft, I think it's a shaft 101, don't quote me on that. That should be in there. That dogging mechanism has to come out, and what's interesting is that it's riveted to the back plane. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. I'm wondering if this exit device is too old. Yeah, no, never mind. That's all okay. Okay. Yeah, that obviously has to sit on here. Oh, I wonder if that cotter pin, the clevis pin, yeah, it's magnetic. Well, it seems to me that the first thing we have to do is drill out the the dogging mechanism, or what's left of the dogging mechanism. Let's do that now. Let's see if we've got enough here to make this happen. It just rotates with us. Well, the concept works. Drilling the center of it out gets the metal to collapse inwards. Okay, so those rivets are out. Right on. I believe this 98's a little bit older, but I don't know how old it is. But frankly, it's something that I just pulled out of the proverbial parts bin. Okay, now, yeah, what needs to happen is that's going to pull it out. That's going to make contact here. This magnetic piece, I have to I think there's a small magnet there is what it is. Maybe not. I'm going to have to see this actually operate. So the next thing I'm going to do is put this aside, is what I'm going to do. I've got the dogging mechanism out. I obviously have to get this slid back. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. No, I don't just yet. I think I can get the clevis pin out, hopefully without losing our C-clip. I've had an awful habit of not using the right tools. I've had an awful habit of not using the right tools of late and kind of winging things. That happened to work really well. So that clip, the C clip is off, or E clip. I think it's a C clip. Okay, clevis pin is out. That's for sure how that's going to go. Going to put that clip back on. Okay. You can't see that, but I definitely have it connected. Now at this point, when the motor turns, it should draw all of this back. So the next thing really to do, I know that this has to sit here. But I have to admit, I'm not sure of its function just yet. There's a set screw here that needs to be tightened. So I'm going to tighten that. This fits on here, so the aluminum extrusion that's here, when the motor pulls this back, it's just going to serve to want to pull that forward, so it's not going to move. Screwing it down to anything, it's not going to go anywhere. But at this moment, the function of this magnetic block does escape me. Now, as far as I know, this doesn't have to be tight. It just has to be tightened. Because this is like an I-beam here. You know what? I wonder if there is some sort of communication that's happening on this circuit board. I wonder if that's what it is. I wonder if every time that's pulled back, the state of a circuit has changed. Because there is a magnet in there. I wonder if that's what it is. No, I bet that's what it is. Well, there are installation well, there's actually a video for this. There is an installation video. I'm aware of it. I have clicked play a couple of times, but I've not really watched it. So let's get the touchpad put back on. Let's slide it back into its chassis with the motor. First one's always a bit of a guinea pig. After that, they go pretty quickly. Yeah, and that slides in there. So this aluminum that this has been built here, this is all aluminum, extruded aluminum. That slides right into the Von Duprin chassis, just like you would expect it to. Except, what's going on here? Oh, it's spoiled. It'll go. There we go. Wires out of the way. Yeah. Yeah, my touch bar is not seated. Now we're good. Okay, so if you recall, yeah, okay, I made a mistake. Maybe I haven't. I may need to look up and see how these went in. Oh, that's how they go in. Yeah, obviously. Okay. Duprin exit devices can go back without all the parts if you want them to, but you don't want them to. There we go, I think. Yep. Okay, that's on. Now we've got the two screws that have to go over here. Now the fun part's going to be powering this, because you have to have a an NP1 power supply for this. Well, you need the NP1 power supply kit. You don't have to have the NP1 power supply, meaning you can power that circuit board with a different power supply, and I'm actually going to do that in this case. I'm going to power an NP1 circuit board, which this requires, with a Locknetics 510, a long discontinued power supply that I happen to have on my workbench, so to speak. Okay. Yeah, you know I did that. At least it wasn't both of them. It's always good to take a look around and see what parts are remaining before you completely sew up the patient. Okay, let's just get these screws tightened up. I'd have to look at the parts manual to really know to recall what these parts are called. They need to be there. They're definitely there for a reason. Okay. Okay, so we've got the exit device put back together. Seems to work. This moved a little bit, but I'm not. That's of no concern to me. Next thing to do is to power this. So let's get all the parts that we need to build a power supply. Let's wire it, and all we're going to do. Terminal 1 and 2 are power on the NP1. 3 and 4 are your switch. So all we're going to do is just jump those or short those two wires. Is what we're going to do. So let's actually see this thing work. Let's do that now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So what we have here is we're going to move some parts out of the way, and we're going to get a power supply built, and I'll do that here just so that we can all see how that's done. I have my faithful Locknetics 510 here. And as I had said, I'm going to move the load. This would be called the load. I'm going to move the load out of the way. There are four primary pieces to a circuit. The conductor, that's the wire. The power supply, that's our Locknetics 510. The load, which is the AS1, and then there's the switch. And the switch is going to be your doorbell button. It's going to be your card reader, your pin reader. It's going to be your sensor. In this case, it's going to be a piece of jumper wire. That's what we're going to do. So let's pull the camera out and around so you can actually see it a little more elegantly is the plan. Okay, here's my 510. Got a bunch of stuff in here. This is just my power cable, so we're not really concerned about that in the sense that we need that there. This power cable is how I'm going to power the 510. I'm going to draw this over here. This is my bundle of wire that's already connected to the output terminals. Okay, I have red and green here. I don't know which is positive and negative. We'll quickly discover that. I've got a wire cap over the one so that when I plug it in, I'm not shorting it. And this is what we're going to connect our AS1 to. Our black and red leads, we're going to literally connect to this. Before I do that, I'll put the multimeter on here to determine what is positive and negative. And I'm assuming, of course, that the wiring colors on the AS1 follow standard negative for black and positive for red polarity, I guess. But first what we need to do, what do we need to do on this? Oh, okay. This is what we need to do on this. Okay, so we need our board, our NP1 board. The issue, however, is I happen to know that 5 and 10 are my output. What I have to do is power my board from the 510. In order to do that, I need a couple of wires. Well, luckily when you buy an NP1 upgrade kit or an NP1, you'll have the two wires. These are going to plug right into the board connector here. Okay? But these I've got to get down to my Locknetics 510. So let's get the board out of the way and let's get these wired up. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, so there needs to be a jumper wire here for this. It's explained in the lid of the 510. Because this is not a video on a Locknetics 510, we'll just leave that stand as a mystery. That's okay. You know what? Before we do that, let's determine what polarity is what here. I'm going to plug it in. I get a green LED. We get our trusty multimeter. Turn it on. I am testing for voltage, so I'm going to go to 24 volts, which is actually 200 on this. I don't know why I'm getting... Okay. I know that I'm set to 24 volts on the power supply. I'm going to put the red probe to the 5 and the green, black to the 10. Okay, so you see there I'm getting a negative value. That's negative 27.3. I'll put that means is I know that I have my polarity reversed. When I go black to the 5 and red to the 10, I know that I'm getting positive polarity. I'm getting a good voltage here. And as I'm doing it, I realized I've got a red wire coming out of here. So that's how I know that that's the positive leg, and that's how I'll connect my red wire of my wiring harness. So, first things first. What's really interesting, I just pulled the power off of that. What's really interesting is, if you watch the multimeter, it still has a lot of voltage. I mean, I've unplugged it for 15 seconds now. So my suggestion, when you unplug a power supply, you better let it cool off for a good minute, because you're still getting voltage. I don't know a lot about electrical stuff, but there must be capacitors in here that are holding a charge. And I still have 2.1 volts. I mean, a AA battery is 1.5 volts. So I've got enough voltage that equals a 1.5, a AA or a AAA battery. Okay, so we're going to consider that safe at this point. I walked up and touched an electric fence when I was a child on the farm in Iowa and realized that that was an unpleasant experience. So what I need to do is get rid of my jumper wire lead, because I'm going to use this jumper wire. I'm going to use my cable here to power the NP1. So I'll take that out of here. I'm just going to move it out of the way. Now I'll get my cable. I'm going to go black to 5 because I know that 10 was negative, because I proved that with my voltmeter. Okay, now I'm going to plug it back in and make sure I still have voltage. Yeah, we're getting voltage. We're good. Okay, so I know that I've got that set. Now let's unplug this. Then we'll plug in our board. Small amount of voltage still in there, I'm sure of it. Yeah, it flashed a little bit because there was a little bit of voltage. Now what we're going to do is we'll place this in here, and now I'm going to test for voltage at terminals 1 and 2. Output 1, output 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 are power, 3 and 4 are switch, 5 and 6 are request to exit. That's all in the installation instructions, and because this is not a video on that power supply, I won't go over it here. Now I got my voltmeter in there. I'm going to plug the unit back in, the power supply. Okay, we got lots of lights. All of these lights are here, and all of them mean something. Those two flashing lights, that's a good sign. Now let's just check for voltage. We'll also know what's positive and negative when we do this. I'm touching 1 with the red and 2 with the black, and yeah, you see voltage on my voltmeter. So we're good. Okay, now let's unplug the power supply. And we're going to bring our wire back. I'm pretty sure I put positive to the first leg, to terminal 1. Should be a small amount of voltage still. Yeah, there's none. I've already forgotten what's positive. Let's power it back up. Yeah, okay. So one terminal is positive. We've pulled the power out. Now let's get our jumper wire. It's not a jumper wire, just this is what I use to connect stuff. So we're going to go with a really small screwdriver. And we will bring our black, which is green, to terminal 2. We're good. Let's bring our red to terminal 1. Good. What I want to do now is check voltage at the end of my wires. So I'm going to plug it back in. I've got a wire nut on one of those two. I'm now going to check for voltage at the end of my wires. Red is positive. Let's get this cable mess out of the way. Yeah, and you see that I've got voltage coming out of my wires. Great. Unplug the power supply. Next thing we do, the AS1. And next thing to do, I've got it unplugged. I know that because I've got the cord right here. Let's wire up our stuff. Let's go green to black. Put a wire nut over that. I don't have enough wire exposed there. I have these stripping pliers here, which work well, but not on extremely thin wire. Yeah, that worked. Okay, let's do it again. Let's get us a little more exposed wire. These are by Capri. I think I have these by Irwin as well. These are just the ones within arm reach. And if you're like me, you're lazy. Why travel 20 feet when you can travel 5? Let's wire it red to red. Red to red. Wire nut, just because I don't want to short this. I would imagine the electronics would not like that. We'll put that on there for the sake of putting that on there. Now, I've got my jumper wire here. Obviously I've needed jumper wire in the past. What's going to happen now is I'm going to plug this in. Nothing's going to happen because, well, there will probably be a startup routine. But I don't have 3 and 4 jumped. There's nothing to 3 and 4 right now. Here. 3 and 4. Let's plug it in and see what happens. Yeah, that's normal. That's a good sound. That's good. Okay, so we're getting some flashing. Now, what we should get out of this is this touch bar being depressed. Not sad, it'll just go in. I'm going to jump 3 and 4 over here. At least that's the plan. Yep, bingo. Look at us. Pull the jumper wire out, releases it. Look at us. Let's do it again. Yep. Wow. Nice. Let's watch the latch as I jump 3 and 4. Beautiful. This is actually from a 9827 device. My switch is held in because I'm holding the jumper wire in. quiet too. And I guess a victory lap there. Let's come over here and let's watch the motor run. Actually, let's hold this. And I'll jump it. And that's just me cycling it back and forth. So yeah, this works really well. Really well. So now the mystery becomes is, what was that block, that magnetic block that I put on the retracting rod? I don't know what it was. I installed it the only place that it could go. Let's now give in and look at the manufacturer's video. So let's switch to it. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video.
The AS1 motor retraction system has been designed specifically to work with the ASPS1, ASPS2, or the AHT NP1 power supply unit. Please note that the AS1 motor retraction system will only work with the ASPS1, ASPS2, or the AHT NP1 power supply units. Both units contain a computer that are in constant communication with each other and are monitoring the status of the system. This kit contains one AS1 motor retraction unit, one red and black wire harness, one RX magnet mount, one drilling guide, one replacement dogging tail, one clevis pins with E-clip. First, remove the head cover plate and remove the cover mounting bracket and set it aside. Next, slide the main mechanical unit out of the push bar housing and remove the push bar. If you have a fire-rated device, your unit will not have a dogging tail. Use the replacement dogging tail included in your kit by placing the end of the dogging tail into the tube and putting one of the clevis pins through the holes and attaching the E-clip. If you have an older fire-rated device, you may have to drill the holes yourself. Using the included drilling guide, place the drilling guide into the end of the tube, making sure that the holes are at 90 degrees with respect to the base plate. Using a 3 30-second drill bit, drill a pilot hole using the guide. Then remove the guide, and using the pilot hole, drill through both sides of the tube using a 3/16 drill bit. Then you can attach the replacement dogging tail. If you do not have a fire-rated unit, you will need to remove the dogging assembly. If you have an older unit, you will need to drill out the 2 rivets holding the dogging assembly to the base plate. If you have a newer unit, these rivets will be screws, and you will need to remove them to remove the dogging assembly. Next, bring the motor retraction unit to the back of the device with the forks facing the dogging tail and lightly depress the bar so that the dogging tail is between the 2 forks of the motor unit. Then, put the clevis pin through the holes in the motor mechanism forks. Secure the clevis pin with the E-clip. Next, seat the RX magnetic mount into the dogging tail. Ensure that the magnetic mount is pushed back as far as it will go on the dogging tail and tighten the screw set. The set screw does not need to be tight, just enough to hold the mount in place. Now, depress the mechanism and ensure that the RX magnetic mount is not colliding with any other part of the motor unit or mechanical unit. If you need to, adjust it slightly to ensure that it does not collide with any other part. Next, reattach the push bar, ensuring that the 2 guides in the push bar are properly seated into the slots on the mechanical unit. Depress a few times to ensure that the bar is working properly and is free to move. Then slide the unit back into the main body housing, starting with the rear of the motor mechanism and then the base plate for the mechanical unit. Reattach the mounting bracket for the head cover plate, followed by reattaching the head cover plate. Connect your bar to one of the prescribed power supply units and activate the bar to ensure it is retracting properly. Please also ensure that the RX light illuminates on the motor mechanism board when you retract the bar. Once you have ensured that everything is functioning properly, your installation is complete.
Okay, so let's bring this video home and let's summarize what we've learned about this. It's a very easy motorized latch retraction unit to install. Easy. What made this easy for me is the fact that I don't have a fire-rated device. This was non-rated, so I didn't have to drill anything. That made life really, really easy. So for me, I didn't have to drill those holes, which was nice and easy. At the end of the day, yeah, you might have a fire-rated device that you're going to need to work on. It's just the bottom line. Why would you want this motor retraction, however? Why would you want this compared to electric latch retraction by, say, Von Duprin? Well, it's probably in the end not going to be less expensive. What this, however, has, and I'm going to show it to you, just making sure I'm unplugged here. And I mention this because it has been handy in the past. Using the AS1 along with an NP1, it's inherently going to give you two outputs, so that's good. So you don't have to have a two-zone card with like a PS 902, 904, 906, 914, whatever it is. You'll get two zones. The wiring is very simple and straightforward. Should you need to power it with something else, you can. I still am not completely sure why I want to do that. But what this has that your typical Von Duprin arrangement or a different manufacturer of a retro kit is the NP1 has the potentiometers. I'm admittedly not super intelligent when it comes to electrical engineering, but I think of these as volume knobs, and I've heard them described as volume knobs. As you rotate the potentiometers, output 1 here, output 2 here, you can change basically how many steps the stepper motor pulls the worm gear underneath to pull latch retraction. So what that means is if you're not getting enough retraction on the latch, you would be able to manipulate the potentiometers. So I'm going to pull the clevis pin off, and I admittedly left a disorganized job site here. Okay, and this will explain what that's used for. And I'm pulling this off so I can show you a really small clip that I don't want to lose. Okay. Here comes our AS1. Here's your worm drive. So that's threaded. So the potentiometers can, in effect, control how much travel is happening. and there's a lot of explanation that's gone into how much travel those can tolerate, and it's probably in a NP1 video that I have somewhere, but every certain amount of rotation on the potentiometer, the blue guy's upper right hand corner, affects this retraction. So that's nice. Why would you want long-term control over that? Well, the motor is probably not going to change very much, but what is probably going to change is your door and frame conditions. So it might be really nice to be able to get in there and pull that latch back just a little bit more. You know, if you've got some thermal bowing, something's occurred, it might be nice to do that. I don't have any field data that tells me that that is a good thing, but just knowing how the long-term health of doors and frames are, yeah, it might definitely be a good thing to have the ability to do. It could also be why you would want this over a different kit is what I like to tell people is imported hinges. You know, everybody has Mac Pro, Eco, Mac Pro by McKinney, Eco by Hager, every other company. They may have an imported hinge version. Whoever you're buying the hinge from, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really buying the hinge, because a hinge is a hinge isn't necessarily true in terms of the hardware or finish or whatever. But what I'm really wanting to buy is the customer service. Axolsecurity has phenomenal customer service. The only thing better than their customer service is their tech support. So the combination of extreme high caliber tech support along with a dreadfully simple device to install on a very smart power supply that has potentiometers, 2 outputs right away, and I can't think of why you would have this, but you could have a job that has Von Duprin and Conair on it. And I'm going to go back, I'm going to cycle back in a minute to the exceptional technical support. I think of it this way: if I was in the vending business, I sold snacks and pops and things like that, I would want one type of machine, one type of coin changer, so that I had my warehouse full of parts that I could cannibalize. So if you've got a job and it's all you've got a mixture of Conair and Von Duprin, you could easily have Von Duprin on the inside of a building, access control. You are very commonly going to have Conair exit devices on the outside. You could have one power supply, standardized across the board. Let's cycle back to the comment I made about exceptional technical support. When I started this video, I was stammering on for a moment. I had said the words that we're going to explain this. In the amount of time it took to get from there to me looking over this way 60 seconds ago, I got the reply email from tech support at Axolsecurity. Okay, and what is the purpose of the mag unit? Is it a cycle counter type situation? Reply. Literally within 7 minutes. It's for the RX switch on the power supply. It sends a signal to the power supply board to indicate that the door is latched or unlatched. So we don't have a RX switch on this, but that's what this is going to be used for. This is the hardware. This is the RX switch. So there's a magnet here, clearly in this area of the AS1. When it travels, that's going to be your signal from 5 and 6 on your outputs to say, hey, request to exit, mission accomplished. You hit the device, or you card access and you access in, or you mechanically leave. No. Yes. Yeah, you mechanically leave. That's going to travel with that. This is your rec switch. So Von Duprin's tech support is world class. There's no doubt. But Axolsecurity is 7 minutes, and it's just phenomenal. Actually, there's a second message. Yep. Follow-up. If you look at the power supply at the array of 8 indicator lights, the third one down will turn on when the door is in the unlocked position. Yeah. So what's happening here is these are the indicator lights that they're referring to. There is a column of 4 and a column of 4, output 1, output 2. The third down is what's indicating recs. And you need to look at the installation instructions for the NP1, and then you see all of that. Or look at the video that we have, because it describes all of that. And all of those lights mean something. So if you're troubleshooting it, if you don't know what the lights mean, you're not troubleshooting it very well, so you'll definitely want to dive into that. Again, this video is on the AS1. If you like what this product could possibly do for your situation, reach out to us, and we will work with you to supply the material. I'm eternally grateful to the people, to the one gentleman in particular at Axolsecurity, and knowing him in other companies. He's the standard bearer by which all of us should aspire to in terms of just complete and total technical support and great bedside manner as well. So if you have any questions on the AS1 or the NP1 or the MEL1, which they supply as well, which would be for Connier 16 or 1786 devices, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much for staying with us. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.